Facebook Live. It's Mike Tompkins, founder of Start Again. I'm here in South City at Sweet Art Bakery with Cbabi Bayoc, and we're getting ready for next weekend's Start Festival 2017 here in St. Louis. And it's a cool event because on Saturday, September 30th, we're going to be painting, artists are going to be painting on large-scale canvases, 8 foot by 10 foot, painting in black and white. They're going to be painting the segregations of our city and really sort of opening a dialogue to healing. The truth is painted in black and white, and on day 2, those same artists will be painting in color their vision of our new community. And one of those artists is Cbabi Bayoc. And so I'm happy to have Cbabi with us today, and we've got some examples of both his work in black and white and his work in color. And, you know, one of the things that I thought about when we first met Cbabi is that, you know, I'm a big dude, but you're a bigger dude than me. And, you know, I have very few times met anyone whose hands are bigger than mine. And I know I've said this to you before, but that's a big hand you got. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was impressions. And, you know, people have an impression of us being big dudes, and then, of course, you being even bigger than me with bigger hands in St. Louis could be considered to some people to be intimidating. Right. And that's one of the things that we're trying to break is stereotypes with Start St. Louis. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experiences here in St. Louis and the great things you're doing in South City?
Yeah, and mentioning the whole size thing, it's funny because my wife would tell me, be careful because I like to run at night. And, you know, I just assume it's my neighborhood. I don't even think nothing about it. She's like, you know, because I don't think about my size on a regular basis. So she would always bring that up. And, you know, paintings that I've done have been in response to people mentioning my size and that maybe people should be intimidated, including my kids. And I just, again, don't think of that. So, but that what makes me think in context about how I paint. And I paint with big hands in all my pieces. So that definitely has something to do with my art, and hopefully we play out next weekend too.
For sure. And, you know, what I found Facebook is that of our 13 artists, Cbabi has the biggest heart. And, you know, one of the things that I loved about his work was a series that he did called 365 Days with Dad. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so 2012, spent 2 years creating 365 paintings, black fathers and their children, just to promote the idea that we need to spend more one-on-one time. But just doing it every day, and some of the paintings were just feet or just hands, so that might come into play next week. You know, you've always kept asking what we're going to do a little different than normally do, so I'm really trying to think that out, and I think I have a good idea of what I'm going to do Friday and what I'm going to do Saturday, because I always do faces, so that's what you expect, but what can I do to invoke emotion without doing the faces? We'll see, because I have a show coming up on fatherhood again, and I'm just trying to think outside the box. It's easy to paint a portrait of a dad and child, but how can I convey that message differently? So this would be a great opportunity to mess around and play with it, and on crunch time too. So.
You know, I love that you are also in my neighborhood. This is in South City, St. Louis, Sweet Art Bakery. I know that you serve vegan and vegetarian lunches and breakfasts, and then you also do baked goods that are vegan and vegetarian and traditional. It's at sweetart.com. Your work can be found at cbabibayoc.com, and that's CBABIBAYOC.com if people are looking for your art. But let's talk a little bit about your pieces, and you know, one of the things that you do here in your shop is that you teach painting classes to kids. I've seen kids in here doing little painting classes or something like that, and you know, we're going to have kids at our event doing a piece as well. And what is it about children here in St. Louis and artwork that encourages you to give?
So I've done the painting with a twist type classes, and most of them been adults, but a few times there are children in the group, and that's always cool. And the children are always a lot more open and relaxed about it, so that's interesting. The paintings I have, they're both in some way about fatherhood, and it plays the same way the theme is. The brighter, happier one is, you know, dad playing superhero with his son. It's a piece I just created off of somebody who I found on Instagram, and I thought it was a cool subject. And then the black and white piece I did at the History Museum for the most recent story with the Dred Scott case. They had an event just talking about his story and celebrating. So I did that piece based on the whole a dad, running, getting away, but also in mind thinking about who he's inspired to get free for, and who he's going to bring along. So that's what the black and white is talking about. And as far as children and going back to my size and all, going to schools either in the city or the county, I like the way I look. I like my size. I like that I'm tattooed. I like that I'm relaxed. I like that I slur, that I don't talk proper English. I use all that for the kids in the city that look like me to know that they can do art, or they can do what they want for a living. But then also flip side of that, in the county, just being me, hopefully just by just being an artist, painting, talking about my story, and creating, that I create for those children in that environment just a scenario that, if I don't know how their parents talk, I don't know how their peers talk, I don't know how they're going to think or be around when they grow up, but maybe they'll always be able to have this reference. Like, I remember when I was in grade school, or I was in middle school, or even when I was in high school, and this black man, 6'4", came by with tattoos all over, and he was super cool, and he was an artist, and he wasn't an ass, he wasn't violent, he wasn't, so I have that to battle against anything that I'm hearing y'all say. I have an example that there are people who are just themselves, but they look like what everybody wants to deem as, something to be weary of. So I try to use that to my advantage. Yeah.
Well, and I think you do, and it's actually one of the things that I love about you is because you show your authenticity in so many different ways, and I think that's key to what START is all about. Why did you choose to become a part of START and join us as one of the 13 artists in our roster?
Because I want to get off the canvas. I want walls. I want to be, quote unquote, street art. I want to be a mural artist. I saw this, I was like, waiting for a window. So hopefully this is my door to get outside, because I like painting outside and it's cool on the easel, but I love large scale and I want to go as big as I can. So this is an opportunity for me to do that, and like I said, to do something big and something a little different. So there's just no way I could pass up.
Well, thanks so much for being a part of START Festival 2017. We're excited to see what you create. I know that you did an awesome piece in my house that wraps around my staircase. You're all going to love it. Check out my own homepage on Facebook. But Cbabi does all kinds of commission work and beautiful pieces like this. And he's going to bring an inner city voice to his pieces next week. Fairgrounds and Forest Park. Be there. See you at START.